STEM fields, such as computer science, engineering, medicine, finance, advanced manufacturing, or agriculture, just to name a few. The annual evaluation, officially called the Iowa STEM Monitoring Project, scrutinizes the work of the STEM Council, but also looks more broadly at the state of STEM in Iowa. Lieutenant Governor Reynolds serves as co-chair of the council, and she has from the very beginning, along with Kim CEO Chris Nelson. The progress of this program and of the council has been made due to the vision and commitment and the hard work of the 47-member council, Jeff Weld and his team, located at the University of Northern Iowa, the 6 regional STEM managers and the college and universities where they're hosted, and the 6 regional STEM boards and the thousands of educators across the state among them. That progress also is due to being a strong public-private partnership. I'm pleased to say the legislature has provided a generous $5.2 million annually in appropriations, and we've had significant private sector support that has been growing each year through business and industry sharing their expertise and making substantial financial contributions as well. But the evaluation also tells us where we have work to do, which is particularly valuable. Now, I'm pleased to turn the program over and the podium over to Lieutenant Governor Kim Reynolds.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Governor Branstad. And you know, as co-chair of the Governor's STEM Advisory Council, I have really had the opportunity to see firsthand over the last 5 years the growing emphasis on STEM and really how it is transforming learning and education across the state of Iowa. We just wrapped up the Iowa State Fair, and I was really proud that the very last day was STEM Day at the Iowa State Fair, and hundreds of students had the opportunity, not only students, but the parents and the grandparents, to really participate in a lot of the STEM programs that are being implemented all across the state of Iowa. A lot of activity going on the Grand Concourse. STEM provides students with the knowledge and the confidence and problem-solving skills that will not only help them succeed in their personal as well as their professional lives. STEM also provides our educators across the state of Iowa with professional development that really helps redefine the classroom, giving them the opportunity to work with business partners so that what students are learning is more relevant to what they're going to experience in the real world. Is that right, kids?
Yep.
Alrighty. So I'm not just talking, you're going to help me back up what we're seeing happening all across the state. And it also, the great thing about STEM is that it provides employers with a more highly skilled workforce so that they can innovate and expand as well. STEM is also helping us meet the 70% goal of having Iowa's workforce having either education or training beyond high school by the year of 2025. And of course, that's the goal of the Future Ready Iowa initiative that we just launched this year. One of the best pieces of news in the evaluation, and you're going to hear more about that from Dr. Jeff Weld, but one of the pieces of information that we were able to talk about is that 9 out of 10 Iowans surveyed said that they believe that STEM education should be a priority in local school districts. And so Iowans know that STEM really matters and is making a difference. But it also showed that only 46% believe that STEM actually is a priority. So that tells us that this is really an opportunity to build on what we see and what we call really as a STEM momentum happening all across the state of Iowa. So both through the council initiatives and the grassroots initiatives started by school districts, higher education, nonprofits, and community partners, we're seeing another piece of good news, and that is we're seeing results. And students that are participating in the high-quality STEM education programs that the council delivers actually scored higher than their peers on national test rankings. So on the Iowa assessments, kids that participate in the high-quality scaled-up programs scored on an average of 7 percentage points higher in math, 6 percentage points higher in science, and 4 percentage points higher in reading. And among the students who participated in those scale-up programs, and we call them that because they're actually scaled across the state of Iowa, and they're in almost every single school. The kids that participated, 45% said that they are very interested in working in Iowa, and that compares to 39% of the students that did it statewide. So that's something, a goal that we are always working on, making sure that our kids have the best possible education worldwide, so that they can compete worldwide, but most importantly, that we keep them in the state of Iowa. So we hope that reflects on efforts to better connect STEM instruction with career opportunities right here in the state of Iowa. So now it's my pleasure and my privilege to invite Dr. Jeff Wells, who is the Executive Director of the Governor's STEM Advisory Council, to the podium, and he's going to give you some more information on the evaluation that we just completed. And I just want to personally thank Jeff, the hub managers, the hub locations, for all that they do to really drive the success that we've seen with the STEM initiative. So Jeff?
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Our team is so honored to be serving Iowa in this way, problem-solving a situation in Iowa, and we're bringing solutions, as you just heard, to a number of these challenges gripping our state. In fact, I want to begin by crediting our independent evaluators who come up with a 300-page review of our work every year. It's a wonderful waypoint on the work that we're doing. It's headed by the Center for Social and Behavioral Research at the University of Northern Iowa, Dr. Erin Hayden, contributed mightily by the Research Institute for Studies in Education at Iowa State University, Mari Kemis, and significant contributions by Iowa testing programs, the Center for Evaluation and Assessment at University of Iowa, and dozens, I'm sure, of contributors of data from ACT, Workforce Development, Department of Education, probably other sources of information. So that's where this data derives from. The governor mentioned school business partnerships is one of the metrics that we measure. It's true, a lot of business school partnerships have been established under the STEM initiative. 287 documented this year, as a matter of fact, fresh, new school business partnerships. The governor mentioned our externships program, Teachers in Industry. 90% of the teachers who take part in summer workplace externships reported as the most valued professional development experience that they've ever had. So these are some of the data. The Lieutenant Governor mentioned the student test scores, math, science, reading scores up. We hit a milestone this year with that. Over half of the children of the state have now participated in one or more of these STEM programs. So we're really at an interesting tipping point. And I think we're beginning to prove the concept here that we're going to provide a talent pipeline for the IT, agriculture, medicine, engineering, advanced manufacturing pipeline as a result of the work that we're doing here. In fact, some other stats I may throw at you include this one. ACT tells us that ACT test takers this year at a 55% clip intend to major in the STEM fields in college. That's up from 49% 4 years ago. And our greatest gains are being seen among African American and Hispanic students. Female enrollments in colleges across Iowa up 16% over the last 4 years. Teaching endorsements issued by the Iowa Board of Educational Examiners up 21% for teachers in the STEM fields, and that's against a backdrop of a decline of 27% over the same period of time for licensures in general from the Board of Educational Examiners. 3/4 of the teachers who take part in the Scale Up initiative report that they're more confident about teaching STEM moving forward, so we have a wonderful sustainability indicator there. Almost 2,500 children have participated in the IT certification associated with the IT Imagine Academy through Microsoft this year. So a lot of wonderful indicators that we're doing things right. But as the governor and lieutenant governor indicate, we're far from finished. We fail to meet demand every year. There are more scaling applicants than we can serve. There are more school business partnerships that want to start than we can facilitate. There's more interest in externships and IT Imagine and other programs than we can meet. So we've got a lot of work to do yet. 4 Iowa colleges and universities are offering our STEM endorsement pathway. We've got a lot of room to grow there. And there's some persistent gaps between rural and urban interest, and these gaps persist across gender lines, race, ethnicity, economic status, and in terms of math and science performance and interests. So a lot of work yet to do. Yet 15% of the jobs of Iowa are in the STEM fields, and these are high-powered, high economic driver jobs, and they're growing. So as the Lieutenant Governor said, there's a lot of opportunity to continue to grow the momentum and implement programming for the kids across our state. The real magic happens in classrooms, clubs, daycare centers, church basements, etc., where the STEM programming is implemented. So the heroes of all of this are the educators, and we have one with us today, Heather Anderson, second grade teacher at Grant Reagan Elementary in Waukee, also a Des Moines School Board member, as the governor mentioned, and a wonderful representative for the thousands of educators that are transforming, utilizing STEM every day. So with that, Heather Anderson.
All right. First, I'd like to thank the governor and lieutenant governor for their support of STEM and this opportunity to represent the other, I don't know how many elementary teachers in Iowa. I appreciate them focusing on elementary and STEM. It's a very important piece of the puzzle that can't be taken out. It needs to be the foundation. And I'd also like to thank Sarah Derry, who's in the audience. She's a South Central STEM Hub Coordinator. She's always available anytime I call or email. She's come to the school. She's dropped off kits. I can borrow. It's just been a wonderful resource. So if you don't have a STEM kit, there's no excuse. As I said, I'm a teacher in Waukee and a school board member in Des Moines. As a school board member, I've had a unique perspective and opportunity to hear and see up close the STEM activities that are happening throughout the district. Recently, at the last school board meeting, we had several students get up and speak about their summer STEM programming that they participated in, and I was just blown away. I can't believe the things they're learning, and there's no way I completely understood everything. But STEM, as I said, is not just for students, it's for teachers as well. And I was lucky enough, as one of the first elementary school teachers to participate in the STEM externship this last summer. I participated at the State of Iowa Hygienic Lab in Ankeny, and worked alongside with scientists inside and outside of the lab. And I just had a wonderful experience. I learned so much. It totally blew my mind about every day. And I can definitely bring the things that I've learned back into the classroom. And I look forward to doing that. And as a teacher, I always ask myself, how do I inspire my students and engage their head, heart, and hands? And the answer is simple to me. It's STEM. It's through STEM. It's at hands-on learning. When you introduce hands-on learning to students, it engages that higher thinking skills that we want in our future leaders. So this last school year, I introduced AUM, a World in Motion, pinball kits, and we had collaborative groups of 4. I know there's 5 right here. They could have still worked together. Collaborative groups of 4, and they each had a different job that rotated. And as in anything, I think what's important is to make the STEM kits fit the needs of your students in classroom. And so I added a few new things. They were able to come up with their own name for their group, and they came up with their own norms. And like, why didn't I think of that before? But the norms were huge. They thought of ways that they would be able to cooperate, and they came up with ideas of what they would do if maybe 2 of them agreed on something and 2 of them agreed on something else. So it was very interesting, and it changed the way I'm going to teach moving forward. So really, the stars of the show are always my students. This is not my comfort zone. So I'd love for, Rita, would you like to get up and speak a little bit about the kids maybe, or your experience?
So when we did the kits, we worked together very well, and everybody got along, so it was a really great time. And I enjoyed it a lot because it was just like you could do your own thing. You could create what you were doing. Like if you had a plan, somebody else would try to agree with you if they wanted, if they liked that idea. So it was just great working with the pinball kits.
Thank you.
Can we get your name, please? Ethan?
And what did you like about the kids?
It was actually really fun. We got to work together as a team and have a lot of fun as we were working and getting smarter
It's okay. What did you want to share about? Did you want to tell me the name of your team?
My group was the Pinball Crashers.
Right.
And they were all girls in her group, and they really did crush it.
Right, good job.
My team name was the Girls Rock Pinball Machine.
Working together.
What happened when you didn't know where they trying to do? How did you
Well,
solve it?
mostly we all got along, but sometimes we didn't get along, so then we just had a
Compromise.
Okay.
I'm thinking this is an activity for the colleges.
Ellen is Emma's sister, and she was in the room next door, and she was able to work with the kids for a little bit as well. What did you like about that?
It was fun working together and seeing what we
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the
All right.
opportunity. And this next coming school year, my whole team is going to go through training through the engineering is elementary.
Oh,
So-
great.
so
Okay, very
super
good.
excited about that. Thank you.
Well, Heather, thank you very much. We think it's a great example of collaboration and cooperation and working together as teams. So are there questions you want to ask on this subject first?
Yeah, for Heather?
Heather?
Yes.
You
Come
can
up to
step
the
to the microphone.
microphone again for that.
You talked about your externship at the hygienic lab, and you said that you learned things that you would bring into the classroom. Specifically, what did you learn, and how's it going to improve your
Well,
education?
one thing that I learned was, well, first of all, I do a lot of different professional developments every summer, and it's usually outdoors. I love the outdoors, environmental science, and this happened to be inside a lab, so I was like, wow, this is pushing me, but I thought that was good. But what I really learned is how the day-to-day operation of a lab and how it works and how it's so, it kind of complements how a classroom could operate. So I'm going to set up my own little mini lab in my classroom. I have lab coats, safety glasses, etc. So we're going to conduct a very second grade level experiment having to do with water. So,
Okay.
yes.
Before you get away, can I ask you one more? One of the figures I think Lieutenant Governor said, I can't remember who was saying it, but there seems to be a disconnect in in this survey that people want STEM to be a priority, but only about half or less than half think it is. Why do you think that is, and what do teachers have to do kind of on a day-to-day thing to make it a priority?
You know, I think that what it is the lack of knowledge, and one thing that I do is I advocate for STEM, and I share resources. I share any kind of resource or website that teachers can check the material out. And I share the material with different teammates in my building just to try and get them more comfortable. I think the key is you don't have to be an expert on it. What you have to do is just open it up and the kids will guide your way, I guess.
Heather, can you tell the difference when you go back to school in the fall between kids whose parents have made an effort to keep them educationally motivated and parents who just kind of let their kids just, sit on the couch and do Pokemon Go or that sort of thing?
I'm not, I never want to judge what parents do with their children in the
can you tell the
summertime.
difference?
I can tell a difference with the kids that read and do not read in the summertime, and it really does make a difference if you especially read. I teach second grade, and you do really see a slip if they haven't read all summer.
And last question for me, as school starts this week, what's your advice to parents of your students what you want them to do to get ready so they hit the ground running this fall?
To get ready for school.
Sure. Even, like get them to sleep earlier or whatever.
Of course, yeah. Of course, any teacher's gonna say a routine. Hopefully they've already started that. If not, they'll be starting. But yeah, regular sleep, nutritious snack, dinner, reading at night with parents or after school every day. That's gonna prepare them. And getting outside and playing. It's important to get that physical activity.
Mr. Wells, maybe you can speak to the only 46% of those surveyed thought it was a priority. I mean, this is year 5. Why only less than half think it's a priority?
Well, I'm so pleased to be able to defer this question to the author of the report. Erin, if you don't mind, the survey result that everybody's calling out here is an important one. The vast majority of Iowa parents feel that STEM education is an important priority for their children, and that schools ought to prioritize it, but only 49% perceive their school as prioritizing it. So there's an opportunity gap there, and Erin and her team did the survey that found the results, so I'll invite you to comment if you don't mind.
Good morning, I'm Erin Hayden. I'm the Senior Research Scientist at the Center for Social and Behavioral Research at the University of Northern Iowa. Regarding the question, this is taken from a statewide public awareness survey. So it asked 2 questions about the perceptions and attitudes of Iowans. The stat that 9 in 10 think that STEM should be a priority, and then the 46% of Iowans who say it is a priority. And so that's their awareness of STEM. That's not necessarily what is actually happening in schools, but it's the perceptions of Iowans towards STEM. And so the other stat of that, I can't remember what the difference is, but we also asked I think it was around 20% said that they don't know whether it's a priority on their school or not. So I think this goes to toward the increasing awareness of STEM. When we first measured it, 26% of Iowans even knew the acronym of STEM.
Correct. You have to think about where it started.
So it started at, in 2012, where only 26% of Iowans knew even what the acronym STEM, and we're up to 51% of that. So we are seeing growth in this awareness and knowledge of STEM.
I would also say that, sometimes it takes a while for perception to catch up with reality. So this is relatively new. We've been working on it for 5 years, which may seem like a long time, but it really is phenomenal, the change that we've seen in 5 years. But we know we still have a ways to go, and we want to continue to work on it. I think events like this and the publicity that comes from something like this, and seeing what a difference it's making in the lives of students and teachers, and preparing them for the jobs of the future, that's what's exciting about it.
And a part of the STEM initiative is public awareness, and Strategic America is a key partner in helping us do that. Greatness stems from Iowans, our brand that we have. We are hearing more and more people tell us that, they recognize it. STEM festivals that we're holding across the state, STEM Day at the state fair. So it's building and growing, and we're working on really driving public awareness and getting more parents and grandparents involved. So we've made a lot of progress. We're just admitting that there's still more work to do, and that's with any great initiative. It's always about continuous improvement and building outreach, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Other questions on this subject, or do you want to move on to other subjects? I think we've had some really good questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to particularly thank all of the students for joining us today. And they start tomorrow in Waukee, so good luck. And you all are going into 3rd grade. And you're not at the same school, but my daughter teaches 3rd grade in Waukee. I know she's looking forward to it. Okay.
Governor, can I ask you about the Medicaid situation? We're hearing terrible reports from people out there that this Medicaid privatization is achieving the opposite of what was intended, that out-of-state companies are making millions of dollars. Companies from within the state of Iowa are being forced to go out of business. They aren't getting their money on time, and it's creating a terrible hardship out there. What's your response to that?
Well, that's the Des Moines Register's opinion. Now,
That's what people are telling us.
Well, I
That's what people have
understand.
been testifying.
Well, first of all, let me just say, we're getting good reports that this has, first of all, it's a huge undertaking. And Nick Potabom is at the back of the room, and he has been monitoring this and working with this from the get-go. But the reports that we're getting is that this new system of managed care, replacing the unmanaged care we had before, is stopping significant fraud and abuse that had occurred previously in our state and across the country. And that it is designed to try to improve health outcomes. In fact, there was, even in your paper, an article about a guy whose life was saved because of a new program that one of the MCOs put in place. We are continuing, when we do get complaints, and we're asking those, Nick is working with the Department of Human Services and with the MCOs to address those. And we found that they've been resolved. And a lot of times, it's just that people have not followed the rules and done what they're required to do in order to meet the requirements. And it does require verification. What we want to do is make sure that the Medicaid patient is receiving the services that the provider is saying that they are doing. In many cases where the fraud occurs is they're claiming they're providing services that are never provided. We don't want to have that happen anymore. We want to focus on things that are actually going to improve the health of Iowans. And we're doing this in a collaborative way. I know there are those that would like to be involved in partisanship and confrontation. That's not our interest. Our interest is to provide the very best services, and when there are shortcomings or problems, I encourage them to contact our office. And Nick Potabom is the lead person to address those, and we feel that they're being addressed, and we want to continue to improve upon the delivery of these services because they're critical to improving the health of Iowans that rely on Medicaid.
Governor, the Department of Human Services said that they waived sanctions for the
Right.
first 2 months of the program. Was that the right move given some of these reports of just some
Well,
issues?
first of all, those that want confrontation, I guess, want a confrontational approach, but what we want to do is have a collaborative approach that gets the services to people and addresses the problems as quickly as possible. So if we have an approach that is collaborative and working with them to provide the services, that improves the chances of getting these things resolved as quickly as possible. And it's my understanding that that was something they did for the first couple of months as part of the transition. Other states have gone through this. I remember at the governor's conference that we hosted here in Des Moines, they asked about fraud and abuse in the Medicaid system. And the Democratic governor of Louisiana, Governor Edwards, said, no, we've gone to managed care and it's really made a difference in reducing fraud and abuse in our state. So this is something that's been effective in many other states as well, with both Democratic and Republican governors.
What evidence is there so far that it's stopping fraud and abuse here?
Well, that's the reason why you're doing these checks to make sure. Because before, when you had unmanaged care, you submitted the bill, got paid. You didn't know whether the service was ever provided. Now we're verifying to see the service is provided. And that obviously may delay it a day or so. And my understanding is basically 9 days is the average. I think previously it was 8. So with an extra day that can save tens of millions of dollars, to me it makes a lot of sense in protecting the interests of the taxpayers as well as making sure that the Medicaid recipient is getting the services they deserve.
So do you have a number? You said it's stopping significant fraud and abuse. Do you have a
Well,
number?
we did, I don't have a number yet, and there will be reports that'll come out, I think, in the future, quarterly reports.
Yeah.
But based on what's happened in other states that have implemented managed care, the savings have been substantial. And when we put this budget together, we estimated it would save over $100 million in this fiscal year. And part of that is because the MCOs are paid on a capitated basis as opposed to on a procedural basis. And as you know, the old system of reimbursing providers based on how many procedures they did just encouraged people to be sent back to the hospital again and again for the most expensive care. We're trying to instead manage that care, help people stay healthy so they don't go back to the hospital, they stay healthier, and it also saves money.
Earlier, when Jim Hurst was being considered heard for Donald Trump's running mate, you advocated that idea. Are you telling Mr. Trump that Bruce Ratstetter will be a good Secretary of Agriculture?
Well, first of all, it's premature to start talking about who would be in the administration. Although I am one of the people that's been selected nationwide to be advisors on agricultural issues, as is, and there's a number of other Iowans on that group as well. Our Secretary of Agriculture, Bruce Bill Northey, Bruce Ratstetter, Annette Sweeney, Ron Hett, and there's people from all over the country. I think it's a very impressive group of people. We had a conference call last week on agricultural issues. I think there's unanimous concerns about the overreach of federal agencies and the fact that the Obama administration has reneged on its commitment to the renewable fuel standard. So the waters of the U.S. rule. That's a grave concern to farmers. Some of the other things they're doing also with other chemicals and things like that, we think are way beyond the scope of the EPA. And so I think Trump is going to be getting some really good advice on agriculture. And I'm very hopeful that his position on agriculture, which is contrast with what the Democrats are offering. You know, one of their biggest contributors is Tom Steyer. He spent over $1 million attacking Joni Ernst, and he is the environmental extremist from California who has been an advocate against the pipelines and also against corn-based ethanol. If they were successful to go to the California approach of the low-carbon standard that they have, which is using out-of-date information and discriminates against corn-based ethanol, it would be devastating to Iowa, the leading corn-producing state. That's why the contrast is so clear, and why I support and why I think the agriculture leaders that are part of this advisory group feel so strongly that we need Donald Trump.
You were a strong backer of TEP. What are you advising? Mr. Trump isn't. What are you advising him on that? And will that hurt Iowa agriculture if that doesn't go through?
Well, that was one of the questions in the session that we had with Vice Presidential candidate Mike Pence, and he too has been a supporter of trade, and trade is very important to agriculture, and that's a message that we've been very much delivering. The difference is, I understand why Donald Trump has strongly opposed the deals that the Obama administration has made. The Iran deal is probably the worst in history. It's disastrous. It's costing us a tremendous amount, and it's opening up, they are the biggest threat to tranquility and safety in the world. And I guess I just feel that Donald Trump can get us a better deal. I think we need to have.
When it was announced, when the deal was announced.
I understand neither party supports it, and Hillary Clinton is now strongly opposed to it, and the Democratic platform aggressively opposes it. And if you watch the Democratic convention, you saw they got the biggest cheers opposing TPP. Which party, which leader will be the best to get us the best deals in the future? I think Donald Trump will be a lot better than the Democrats, who are totally on the side of not only rejecting TPP, but additional, and Trump has said that what he would do is negotiate individual trade agreements like we have done in this country before. We've done that with South Korea. That's been helpful to open up pork opportunities. We want to do that in other parts of the world as well.
In the back, Governor. Governor, the Farm Progress Show is kicking off up in Boone. How do you get people excited about an industry that continues to struggle, and what impact will that have on things like STEM and education as they come back for session?
Here's the great news. We have a record enrollment in agriculture at Iowa State University. We have a record participation in FFA. We just spent a lot of time at the state fair and FFA and 4-H. And the problem we've got is what the federal government I just talked about has done by reducing the renewable fuel standard and driving the price of corn below the cost of production. And that's not only hurting farmers and costing us farm income, it's costing us jobs. John Deere continues to lay people up. Kinsey continues to lay people off. So where we had among the lowest unemployment in the country, it's now going up because we're losing jobs in farm machinery manufacturing, and you can lay that clearly on the EPA and the rules that they put in place or failed to implement the robust renewable fuel standard. So that's what needs to change. But I think the future of agriculture is still bright. We have a growing rural population. We need to be able to, and we just in Iowa passed the biochemical tax credit. We're the first state to have it. That's the next generation. In addition to ethanol plants and making all these, the DDGs, the byproduct from ethanol, we also now have the opportunity to make other byproducts and replace petroleum-based chemicals with bio-based chemicals. Better for the environment, obviously better for the economy and jobs in Iowa, and I think we can see growth in that just like we've seen growth in renewable fuels in this state.
You telling farmers to just wait it out then, or when is this gonna fall?
Well, I'm saying farmers, make the best decision you can. I read the Farm Bureau spokesman every week, and you know, you want to try to market as best you can. We are seeing that some of the costs of production go down. That's encouraging. Unfortunately, land values are dropping. And this will be the third year in a row. I was governor during the farm crisis of the 80s, so I know how difficult that can be. The good news is interest rates are still extremely low. We don't have the level of debt. But we have got to turn this around. That's why I say help's on the way. We need a new Trump administration that's going to restore our competitiveness. It's going to restore the renewable fuel standard and get us back into profitability in agriculture.
Richard, last question.
Governor, I believe this is the second year of the standardized fall school start date, and
Yes.
yet the Iowa State Fair looks like it's not going to reach the attendance level of last year.
But hey,
is it too early to say that this has been a failure?
well, first of all, I say, last year we set an all-time record. Okay, maybe this year we aren't going to exceed 1,100,000, but I think we're going to exceed 1 million. I think the turnout at the fair was great, and despite the fact the first day you have rain and very hot weather, and then we had some other weather issues, I think it's been a great success. If you look at the participation in the fair, if you look at the number of FFA and 4-H kids who were there, and the Lieutenant Governor and I were there on Saturday to give out $4,000 or $5,000 scholarships. And I gave out a couple of $2,000 scholarships earlier in the day. We want to continue to encourage young people to be involved, and there's a lot, not just in production agriculture, but all the value-added opportunities we have through the biochemical tax credit. You know, the STEM education offers up with the CASE program some great opportunities there for students in agriculture. And the talent that we have seen at the Iowa State Fair among these young people makes me very encouraged about the future. And, you know, every year we'd love to set an attendance record, but I'll tell you, Mike Pence was really impressed. Now, he is wearing his Indiana State Fair shirt, but the Iowa State Fair is bigger and better than the Indiana State Fair. And it's bigger and better than every other state fair as far as I know in the country. And we want to continue to make it better, and we think it's a great way to showcase the talent of our young people. I want to say one other little thing. I have a 5-year-old granddaughter that got a blue ribbon in baking. That 5 years old, little Alexis Branstad got a blue ribbon in baking. So I'm glad to see these young people starting at an early age, even if they live in a city.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you very much.
If everybody wants to stick around, I'm going to have the kids come back, take a picture.